Hello, this is U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharpe. I'm here live to take your U.S. immigration related questions. And today I just want to talk about the urgency, how urgent it is right now to seek the immigration relief that you qualify for. And that's because right now we have various policies in place that is really tries to help immigrants to make the process fair, humane, and just, and facilitates the process of gaining status here in the United States. Which, when we talk about gaining status, it means a work permit. It means your green card. It means the ability to stay here legally, to settle here or to live here and or to be unified with your family. And in the past couple of weeks, we have seen, I want to use as an example the different types of policies that have been implemented just in the past few weeks that continue to promote a fair and humane immigration process for individuals here versus what could be coming in 2024 after the election. So, in the past few weeks, we have seen the Supreme Court come down with a favorable decision. Texas challenged the government, so the Biden administration, on their policy that they would not prioritize deportation of law abiding immigrants who, the worst thing they have is that they are here without status. If in any other case they don't present a threat to public safety or national security, they're not wanted by any law enforcement, or they haven't been arrested, they don't present threats like that, then they would not prioritize detaining or deporting these individuals. Texas went to the filed suit against the federal government, and this worked its way up. So a federal judge in Texas did find in favor of the Texas government. Then it worked its way up to the Supreme Court, where the Supreme Court surprisingly sided with the Biden administration, saying that the state does not have the right to tell the federal government how to run the show in regards to their immigration enforcement, because the state doesn't do deportations. The state is not authorized to deport or arrest based on immigration policy. That's the federal government. So that's great news. And it means that the Biden administration can move forward with helping immigrants to not necessarily fear deportation. And it can also help with having a fair, a smoother process where immigrants, and a just system, because immigrants are not being detained for lengthy periods of times, for years, sometimes months or years, based solely based on their lack of status, of an immigration status. They can now focus on the safety of the community, safety of the country, by detaining those immigrants that need to be detained because they may present a risk, while they may monitor immigrants who don't present that risk, or they may not even go after immigrants, otherwise go after immigrants to enforce any kind of immigration laws against them. So that is one example of ways that this current administration is trying to move forward with a fair, humane, and just immigration process and immigration policies. It's not to say that everybody can come to America, come through the border and get status. However, they're trying to balance public safety, national security, with also treating immigrants humanely. And the immigrants that are here, they're trying to resolve this issue of immigrants who are here without their papers, How can they balance their well-being and treat them fairly while also focusing on national security, public safety, and moving things and having immigration policies that don't overwhelm the government or overwhelm the immigration enforcement agency, because that's what we also find, that they're overwhelmed because previously, there were a number of immigrants that had to be detained, had to be locked up, had to be deported. Immigration courts are backed up for years and years and years because before, in the previous administration, they were just issuing notices to appear to immigrants. But now that has changed, and they can now find some balance. So that's one example here. Now, the USCIS has also looked at various other issues facing immigrants, and they have, first of all, during the Trump administration, they looked to end TPS for certain immigrants who had TPS for many, many years. So they have now announced that they're reinstating the ability for people to get temporary protected status. But the temporary protected status is only for certain designated countries. Those countries include Haiti, for example. It includes Venezuela, Ethiopia right now, Sudan. But they had, the previous administration terminated TPS for certain Central American countries, and they have now brought it back. So we have El Salvador, Honduras, Nepal, and Nicaragua, who can now these are for people who previously had the TPS that was terminated. They can now go ahead and get that reinstated, so they can get their work permits, their social security numbers reinstated, and continue to work and be able to support their families here or support themselves here. So that has just recently been announced. I see the question here, what is TPS? So it's temporary protected status. Whenever a country, not whenever, but when a country is going through certain natural disasters, like the earthquake in Haiti, or the conditions are unstable, maybe because of conflict or warfare, the government can designate the Secretary of Homeland Security can designate the country a TPS country, where the citizens who are here in the US, if they've been here from a certain date, can get the temporary protected status. So, for example, Haitians have had temporary protected status. Many Haitians, not every Haitian, you do have to apply for this. This is not an automatic benefit. You have to apply for it. You have to apply for it by a certain date. And Haitians have had TPS since 2010, and every 18 months it's either renewed or it is terminated. Most cases, these countries have not been able to continue the stability in the country, or there have been complications in those countries as a result of either warfare or natural disasters, and so you see it's continually extended. So here we have a reinstatement of that. Then also there's the ability to get the work permit based on compelling circumstances for certain people who they were here, immigrants, were working here, and if their work was terminated, and they have a current petition in place, an I-140, that's an employment-based petition, then their work was terminated that allowed them to work, they can now seek the work permit based on compelling circumstances. Now, this is in place because you have many immigrants who come here on employment-based visas, like the H-1B. They put many years into the United States. They get, they also have a petition pending for them. And then somehow, if they lose their job, it throws all of that out of whack, and they have to go back home. They may even have US citizen children, and it creates a lot of turmoil. Well, in this case, that's what this policy is in place to do, is to allow, if they've lost their work and they have the petition pending, they're able to still go ahead and show that they're facing compelling circumstances and that they need a work permit to help them. And it gives them the ability to stay authorized to live and work here while they wait for their petition to come through. So that is a much needed relief that has now been here. And a part of this also is it was in the news that many H-1B workers were terminated, and that has thrown them into chaos. Many of them were looking at the prospect of having to return home. Well, this can help to fill the gap while they wait for their petition to be processed. And some processing times have been backed up, and that helps them to fill the gap, be able to work, support themselves and their family while they wait for their petition to be processed so they can apply for adjustment of status. So that's another thing here. And then we have also an exciting development here where you have premium processing. That's where you can pay a certain increased fee and you get faster processing times. So they've expanded it to those who are changing status into F. So F visa or F status, M status, and J status. These are student based or training based visas where you're either working under the J1 or you're going to school, you're going to become a student and you want to change into that status. It makes the processing times faster. So they process it within a shorter period of time. Now, I'm telling you about this because I want to show you how much these policies are in place to make it more immigrant friendly. In addition to that, I am working with my clients on various forms of relief now that because of the changes in policy, it makes it a lot it makes it better, expands the level of relief and forms of relief that my clients are able to get. In T status, for example, asylum, with TPS, they've expanded the number of countries. With VAWA, they have updated their policy manuals to show that it's not only immigrants in a small box that can get relief, but it can be individuals who are facing a number of issues within these categories. So my point here is now is the time. Now, what I can tell you is now is the time, and it's urgent to get on it because we have an election coming up next year. And in contrast to what we're seeing here, we could possibly be facing devastating changes to immigration policy. Our jobs as citizens of this country is to fight policies that way so that America can continue to be recognizable. The US, we have a lot of work to do in regards to equality and justice. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. However, if certain individuals like DeSantis or Trump wins the election next year, all of that is going to go away, and we will see nightmarish policies in place. For example, DeSantis, we already see the law that he has pushed in Florida. It's now going to go into effect coming this weekend, and he's going to bring that from the state platform into the national arena. These same laws are going to dictate how immigration policies are going to go federally, nationally. Right now, the Florida law, it doesn't affect the rest of the states. It doesn't affect the way decisions are made in your immigration cases. But if he wins or if Trump wins, we're going to see that come. We're going to see those changes. DeSantis just came out with his platform and what he plans to do. And first of all, even though under the Constitution, that is the dictating document of the law of the land here, he's saying that he's going to go in violation of the Constitution and end birthright citizenship. So right now, if you are an immigrant, you have children here, if you're an immigrant, you have children here, you are still, that child is a citizen. Your child will not face the challenges of being undocumented. However, when you then become, if this birthright citizenship goes into effect or is enforced in some way, I mean, in the Constitution, that's the law of the land. But keep in mind that the Constitution can be amended, and if all the conditions are right, the Constitution can be amended, right? And so if somehow this becomes a reality with the push of DeSantis, then it means that that will no longer be the case. You, as an undocumented immigrant, will have your children, and your children will then face the same challenges that you face. They will not be citizens. So that is one of the nightmarish policies. He also vows to end the catch and release, meaning which under the Biden administration, if they even have to detain you or if they have to stop you based on your immigration status, then the policy is, remember, they're not prioritizing deportation of immigrants. And so they have this policy in place where they can release you and monitor you, issue you a notice to appear if they need to, and you can freely move around and go to your court hearings. And a majority of immigrants go to their hearings and go through the process. Well, that will no longer be the case. You will have immigrants who are not criminals being locked up for months or years while they're waiting for their immigration hearings. The other policy is that the other policy is that they will go ahead and end, they'll go ahead and end asylum at the border. So asylum will no longer be approved at the border, and they'll go back to remain in Mexico's policy. So it's all these are all and now keep in mind that there are other internal changes that they're going to make. It's not those are the okay, so I'm seeing not hearing on Instagram, so I'm gonna have to go out and come back in. All right. I'm gonna just take a pause here to fix this technical issue. All right. All right, so that should be fixed. So so it should be fixed. And as you come in again, I'm just going to continue just saying what I had to say here about the policies. Now, I mentioned the previous policies. Those are the big picture, but keep in mind that if the DeSantis, Trump, or they have the most extreme immigration policies that they want to implement, if they come back in place, internal policies are going to change. They're going to make relief more narrow for immigrants. It's not going to be as immigrant friendly, and it's not going to assist immigrants who are going through a hard time that need the relief. So it's urgent right now. If you would like to get immigration relief, you want to get started, take action now. When they are trying to implement policies to make it more friendly for immigrants to do so. Right. Thanks so much for joining me again on Instagram. There were some technical difficulties, and it went silent. So I'm glad you could join me again. Now, before I head out, I'm going to go ahead and answer questions. So put your questions in the comments so I can answer. If you had your questions previously in the comments on Instagram, put them in the comments now so that I can answer your questions. I do see one on YouTube. So I'm going to, while I wait for your questions to come in on Instagram, I'm going to go ahead and answer on YouTube. So, hi there. I got pro bono lawyer for my VAWA. I'm thankful to God. I have kids back home in Liberia. When can I start their process? When I-360 is approved, or when should filed to join me? So you should always talk to your attorney about your case, because your attorney is going to be the best person to be able to address your questions. And I'm not trying to duplicate the legal advice of the attorney, but generally speaking, when you file your I-360, those children will be, as long as their names are on the petition, they're going to be included. Now, their process to get them here into the United States is when you get approved. So after you get approved for VAWA and you're going through the adjustment of status is when they will be able to join you here in the US. So they're 19 and 16. As long as they're under 21 and unmarried, they can qualify to gain the status through VAWA. When getting a work authorization letter, how long before getting the EAD card and SSN? Now, keep in mind that I'm not your attorney and I don't know your case. However, generally speaking, I do see the actual EAD card come about a week to 2 weeks after you get the approval letter. So my husband is a US citizen. Can he petition for my green card and add my 19-year-old to my filing before she's out of age? So I'm glad you asked this, because this is one of those misunderstood areas. Your children cannot be added to your petition, but now if you married your citizen spouse before your daughter turned 18, then your spouse can file for your daughter separately at the same time as you, and they can get the green card that way as the stepdaughter of a US citizen. Um, right here, I see here marriage took place after she turned 18, then no, you will not be allowed to include your daughter on the petition, and your spouse can't file for your daughter as a step parent. When you get your permanent residence, you'd have to file for your daughter. If you file for asylum while you're in America, will that affect your kids' chances of getting their visas? So it depends on the immigration, the consular officer at the embassy, and there are many factors that they look at. If they feel as if their number one goal is to keep people from coming to the US to staying. So if they feel as if your asylum application is going to also cause the children to overstay their visas and not return to their country, then it could possibly affect it if they have access to that information that you filed for asylum. And it also depends on what other evidence do the children have that they qualify for the visa. If you already have a social security card through J1, do you still need to apply for a new one, and how I'm adjusting from B2? So yes, because when you have the J1, that became invalid when you overstayed, or your J1 no longer applies because you're on B2. So you're no longer working on the J1. So the SSN is not going to be valid. What they will do is they'll probably issue a new SSN, a valid SSN, but the same SSN. So they will reissue the SSN, but now it's going to show that it's now valid again. Um, how long after COA can we apply for the green card? So once you get asylum, it's a year. You have to show that you've been in the US for a year. Now they have changed the policies. Here's another policy that's in place that says if you can show right after getting asylum, if you can show you've continuously resided in the US for over a year, then you can go ahead and apply for your green card. If you're here illegally, what's the first way possible to get your status? It depends on your situation, and that's where the consultation is very important. I didn't so Mello, I didn't respond to the question because my live, I had to leave it, but go ahead and put your question quickly so I can answer. How long does it take for marriage green card after you have all your paperwork in? So I've seen anywhere from 5 months to a little over a year to get that permanent residence. Do you know when the projected filing increase announced back in January, February comes into effect? So right now, we're looking at possibly later this year, but no date has officially been set yet. So we're just all estimating right now. So, based on everything I've told you today, I am leaving it up to you to take action in your best interest. I've told you here what's happening currently, that we have a government in place that, yes, there's a lot of room for improvement, but the fact is this government is trying to improve on this to make it a better experience for immigrants who deserve relief and deserve and qualify for the benefits here. That can easily change next year after the election, and you could possibly miss your chance to get the relief you need. That's what I'm trying to tell you here, is that if you don't treat this with urgency to get the relief you need now, relief or benefits, you take action, you can miss it if you wait too long. So go ahead, contact me. We can talk about your situation and get started right away to get going on your immigration, to get your green card, your work permit, your travel document. Thanks so much, Joan. I'm glad that you're finding it informative, this live. Do you work with clients in Georgia? Absolutely. I have my clients all over the country. I represent clients in all 50 states and around the globe. So no matter where you are, I can represent you. So that will not be an issue. So go ahead, go to the link in the profile on Instagram, go to the link in the description of this video, and it will lead you to a page where you'll have all the information you need to contact us, the website. You'll have a button to schedule your own appointment as well. And you also have little guides that can help you through certain immigration processes. So you can check that out as well. Can you repeat what you said about the VAWA? So I'm not sure what I said. I said so much. But right now, they have changed the immigration policy manual for various immigration benefits and relief that makes it more humane and makes it more immigrant friendly and broadens the scope of situations where immigrants can get relief. So a stepfather cannot file for a child over 18 as a stepchild. So this makes no sense. Sending documents for this child with yours when petitioning. Yeah, so unfortunately, that is the policy, and I know it is really distressing, especially when you have your child and you have to leave them out as the spouse of a citizen. It doesn't make any sense. I agree with you on that. How much do you charge for the consultation? It's $150 to do that consultation. Do you know when the new filing increase comes into effect? So no, I don't. We're estimating later on this year, but that's just an estimate. It hasn't officially been announced yet. So I've been here for over 23 years. What's my chances? I came in without inspection. So I don't want to say what your chances are. I don't know what your situation is. And that is where I leave it to you to set an appointment with me so we can talk about different situations, different cases, and decide whether there is relief for you. I don't know cases. I don't give quotes here because cases are different. and situations are different, and our fees are dictated by the case type. So that's where, but start with that small investment of the consultation fee, and then I can evaluate your case and provide you a quote. All right, I am heading out again. I will be back tomorrow to answer your questions at around lunchtime. So look out for me then. Thanks so much for your time, and just go ahead and schedule an appointment so we can talk about helping you directly. All right, have a good one. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye bye.